Hello folks, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to talk about my overheating experience with this camera here, the Lumix S9, and some testing that I have done to having a better understanding, because after starting to use this camera, I actually understand how much of somehow a powerhouse camera this camera is for what it is, right? I think Lumix could have done a couple of things to actually make this camera really unbeatable for, what it actually is and for how small the body is. But this is what we got, right? So I got to test it. I got to do some really cool shooting and things with it. And then now I have a better understanding of the overheating issues and the overheating thing. But let's go a little bit back in the story. So when this camera was released, there was an overheating time limit that Lumix put on it, which in 6K it was like, I think, 10 minutes record limit. In 4K it was like 20 minutes or so, and then in 1080p it was like 30 minutes or so. And that was really mind-boggling for me, especially because I was one of the people who was really bashing on this camera, especially for that issue. And then we all raised our voice, and Lumix decided to deliver basically a toggle inside the camera where you can like put it off, and then you can record how much you want it at your own risk. And that, I think, was really the stepping point where things started changing a lot for this camera. And now we can basically talk about my testing and so what I actually did. So I was researching which way I could have basically made this camera my main camera, because of set of projects that I'm about to do in the future, which most probably I will not be using this camera, but in case I wanted to use this camera in those projects, what will the limit, be, and what I will need to be aware of mostly, because yeah, you watch other people testing and stuff, but I love doing my own testing and know what the limits are. So that's what I did. And I have to say that it surprised me. It was really surprising, the time and everything that this small body was able to actually do and deliver. So I did an extensive test in mostly like the two formats that I use the most. So the 6K open gate and the 4K 16:9 25p or 24p, depending when you are. And let me say, I'm gonna start from the 4K. Okay, so the 4K, listen well here, the 4K managed to do an impressive 2 hours and 24 minutes before the battery died. Okay, so there was the overheating triangle on, but the camera didn't shut down because it was overheating, but the battery died. And that is impressive, okay, because from a 20 minutes record limit to be able to record a 2 hours and 24 minutes, that is a huge difference there, right? And all of that was basically filmed in about 24 to 27 Celsius degrees, basically. So obviously, if you are in a little bit hotter environment or in a little bit hotter place, the time will vary, will be different. If you're in a colder place, then most probably you can record until whatever. But this camera did not overheat completely until the battery died at 2 hours and 24 minutes in 4K. So that is impressive, especially because the 4K is oversampling. So in such a small body, of course, to the touch, it's warm. So you have to have the screen out, make sure that there isn't much, around it and stuff like that. But 2 hours, it's really good. That means for podcasting and stuff, this could be a really, really good purchase, because it's small, compact. It has the same sensor as the S5II. It has everything that the S5II does. So it's quite cool. But in 6K open gate, that is where it took a little bit of a hit there, because I think the sensor comes in place too there, because the sensor heats up too, because you're using the whole weight of the sensor. And that was 52 minutes before it overheated and it shut down. But I didn't turn it off. I let it off to see when it would have let me came back to shoot. And that was 10 minutes after it let me basically come back and shoot. And then basically it recorded for 15 minutes and then it shut down again. So if you want to basically take that pause in between away, you will be mostly able with one battery to shoot about 1 hour and 20 minutes, 1 hour and 10 minutes between there. So that is still impressive if you think about it. One thing that you will see is that the battery takes a hit if you shoot between 4K and 6K. So that is something you will need to consider. I might do in the future a little bit better testing where I probably use a dummy battery or I will use, an external power bank. I think for this testing, I was mostly doing it for my own sake, like how I will use it. But soon, between next week or the next 2 weeks, I will release another video on how to fix the overheating issue, right? Because I recorded 6K open gate for more than 2 hours without this camera overheating. But that will be in another video where we will talk more on the way to prevent the overheating issues in this camera. But wow. Like from the S5 Mark IIX, which I'm recording on now, this is a second body that I borrowed from a friend because mine, I sold it for this one, but I still have the possibility to borrow from friends. So that is one of the reasons why it was easier to sell it and buy this one. But I'm really happy with what I'm doing with this one, especially because I used it on one podcast as well. And the image coming out of it is, it's so good. And it's small. Even my friend after the podcast, he was like, damn, what is this camera? Like, I want one. And I was like, go get it. And I will teach you how to not get it to overheat when you use it for your own podcast. So yeah, guys, comment down below what your thoughts are. What would you like to see me testing more on this camera? But this is quite good camera for podcasting, especially because it has an amazing dynamic range, amazing image that if you shoot on Lumix cameras. So yeah, let's have a chat down below on what do you think about this testing, and I will soon release on how to actually just use it and not have it overheat on you. Thank you for sticking here and listening to me. Hope you're taking good care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. I'm gonna see you in the next one.